And the breaking news is that the CCT has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of embattled CJN Walter Onnoghen. This is the biggest news as it is. Remember that the CCT held a hearing just today of which Walter Onnoghen was absent. He has been absent in all previous CCT hearings because he has contested the jurisdiction of the CCT to even hear his case, talk less of trying it. There's been a lot of legal wrangling over this matter, but today he failed to show once again, and Danladi Umar had enough of it. As a matter of fact, the bench warrant was requested by the prosecution, the lead prosecution, Aliyu Mohammed, and of course Danladi Umar, the head of the CCT, the chair of the CCT, issued it. Now, will he be arrested? Oh my God, the optics of it for him and the government of Nigeria. To talk about this and more, we are having back our regular analyst on this basic conversation, Asukwa Mendy Achibong, who is a legal practitioner as well as a presidential candidate. Mendy, how things have turned out. Anyways, you're watching Below right here on Rootstv Nigeria. My name is Gloria Oji Emodi. Going straight to it, will he be arrested?
It's possible. Listen. This, as I said the last time we spoke about it, is one of the things that will strengthen our democratic institutions.
Which part of it? Him being arrested or him not being arrested?
Both sides.
I see.
Because ultimately, these decisions will be decided in court. If you arrest him, you still have to take him to court. If you don't arrest him, it has to still be on order of the court. So one way or the other, we are beginning to see that the government is pushing for the court orders to be obeyed, and people will throw it back in the face of the government that they also have to
on several occasions disobeyed court orders.
So if you push hard for this particular order to be obeyed, you set a precedent that will have to be taken into consideration when they have, rather unfavorable decisions.
Let's be very honest. Why is Onnoghen refusing to go to the CCT for his hearing? Why? I mean, over time it has been established, at least based on the arguments that have been put before it, it's been established that the CCT does have jurisdiction to hear his case. Why is he still fighting it? Why doesn't he just go face the law? Just like many people have been asking, why is he still fighting this process?
Well, maybe on the advice of his
legal counsel,
his attorneys to stay back. But also, when you're talking of the optics of the Chief Justice of Nigeria going to sit in the dock before a junior judicial officer who responds to, who answers to the executive, it's a little bit
there's
difficult.
The optics and there's the law.
There is the optics, but you see,
I understand.
No matter how much we take this as a legal issue, it still has some political undertones because of the timing of it. I'm not suggesting that politics is what is driving it, but you can't divorce politics from what is happening.
And let's bring into the picture that the EFCC has filed fresh petitions against Onnoghen on this matter, and the National Judicial Council has asked Onnoghen to respond to the EFCC petition. So it seems like it keeps mounting and mounting and mounting. Remember, we had an episode where we asked, will he survive this? But it's looking like he may not.
Well, listen, let me put it this way. The National Judicial Council has an obligation to serve any petition filed against any justice of the Supreme Court and ask for that justice to respond. It doesn't mean that that justice is guilty of anything, but it must serve that petition because they have a right to respond to it. So they are giving him that opportunity, that right. That's number one. Number two, the mere fact that he has been issued a bench warrant does not mean that he cannot survive. He might go to court tomorrow, all right? And as the court, the appeals court.
Exactly, because I was about to ask you which particular, oh goodness gracious. We did have a conversation where, one of our respondents said lawyers just have this ability to use technicalities to elongate a process. So what he probably could do, is, according to you, is to stay in hiding, go to the appeal court, ask it to stay this particular order for his arrest, and then all of this continues.
Well, not necessarily stay in hiding. They may not execute that order to arrest him immediately because of the optics.
Oh, so there's no timing.
There is no timing. It could just be on Friday, go to him and bring him. It could be this very evening, go take him into custody, and on Friday bring him.
And we have to remind our viewers that the next CCT hearing is on Friday, which is quite strategic. If I have to, it's quite. Is that a coincidence? A CCT hearing on Friday, and on Saturday the presidential elections. All of this is coming head to head. So will he show, or will he be brought in cuffs? Which is something. Like you said, the optics is really not going to be very good at all for the government, and most importantly for him.
Well, definitely, but here is the thing. I wish the government, and I hope the government after this, uses the same speed, the same energy in prosecuting other alleged corruption incidents, because then we would be able to lower the rate of corruption in this country. The other thing is, the rush to have Onnoghen in court before the elections seems to speak to the fact that he would have a role to play in the event there is any form of dispute as a result of the elections.
May I ask you a question? Now, it's a little bit of a deviation, or just a bit of a deviation from, the Onnoghen case. Tanko Muhammad, at some point we did ask a question if he was a victim of bad press. And I have reviewed a lot of footages from, would I say, Onnoghen's public appearances. I've never noticed that Tanko Muhammad is right behind him. In like 5-6 different footages, Tanko Muhammad is always right behind him. It was like, a clique of gentlemen. Now, there have been some people, especially the CUPP, who say that Tanko Muhammad, unfortunately for him, is another victim in a sort. According to them, they say he was, on his way back from the mosque, and he was whisked away to the presidential villa and made to sign, the documents that now made him the acting CJN of that. Now, if that is true, how does Tanko Muhammad fit into this? Because some people have said maybe he should just step aside or retire or just get out of the picture, because this may end up hurting him in the long run, even as he goes on, if he becomes, the CJN substantive.
The Justice of the Supreme Court, Tanko Muhammad, acted improperly. Improperly, yes. Oh. He is an adult. There is a precedent that you cannot accept a judicial appointment outside of the National Judicial Council. And he sat on the committee that actually asked another judge in Abia State, Judge Oji, to retire because he accepted to become the chief judge of that state without the permission and the consent and recommendation of the National Judicial Council. So we have a precedence here. He was the one on that committee that made that decision, that took that decision. So
he couldn't have been a likely victim.
No,
he knew exactly what he was doing, and the law permits him to say no, even under duress.
Well,
we don't know. We don't know that, but assuming there was any sort of duress,
in fact, that would have even, endeared him more to Nigerians, that he was under duress, but still he took to his guns, he took to the law and said, no, I will wait for the National Judicial Council to speak on this issue before I will appear and accept any appointment. He didn't. Because
of, would I say, all the controversy surrounding what is going on, do you think these two men's careers may have been tarnished by all of this wrangling? Because think about it, Tanko Muhammad was very much in obscurity. I'm sorry to use that word. We barely noticed him until all of this is happening. And that's why some people even doubted he was second in command until we had to do, rather second to the CJN, until we had to do due research to find out truly he is next in line. But do you think all of this may make him a likely victim, in the sense that whatever happens to Onnoghen could smear him as well going forward? Do you see that possibly happening?
Yeah, for the two men, okay, the two honorable justices of the Supreme Court, and one being the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Let's take Onnoghen. His career and his image is now tarred with a broad brush of corruption. All right, that's number one. So he is affected. Tanko Muhammad is down tarred with a broad brush of a Sharia judge who accepted an appointment improperly without having the National Judicial Council recommend him. What will invariably happen is the National Judicial Council will look into the allegations against the two men and will make a determination as to their future. I think that is the one that is going to carry the weight.
I know, but I'm not trying to ask you to preempt what the decision of the NJC is, but everything about this conversation has been speculatory. From the very beginning, we've been speculating so many things that would happen. And I would have to be honest with you, some people really didn't see it lingering this wrong. So even though it feels speculatory, in your own thoughts, in your own perspective, from your own perspective, since we've been having this conversation, what do you think the likely recommendation of the NJC could be? I mean, come on, even if we're not quoting you, but play with me here. Hypothetically, what do you think they could recommend?
The challenge here is the Nigerian legal system is embedded with seniority. Okay, so the NJC doesn't have much latitude, and the president does not have much latitude in appointment. But what would most likely happen is that the two men would be asked to step aside.
Oh, wow.
And then the next in terms of seniority would take over the position.
Wow.
And that is not the best for Nigeria. I believe any legal practitioner or any judge, anyone that is qualified to sit as the Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria should be appointed, and we should do away with seniority. With seniority, we are unable to change the judiciary. And there's been so much
some people will very, very much disagree with you on that. Some people will disagree with you vehemently on that, because some people will say, after so many years and putting in so much work, you are saying that there is a possibility that the highest ranking justice of the Supreme Court could be sitting right there waiting to be the CJN, and then probably somebody 10th in line will be picked up. Now it feels right, like merit, but who determines? Well, who determines who merits what?
Let's always look at what is best practice in other societies. In the United States, there is no seniority in this matter. The president
but you have to understand that their legal system is slightly different from ours.
We still get to the same result, conviction of guilty or not guilty, and we still strive towards, as much as possible, humanly perfect situation. Here is the thing. When you have this seniority in place, you're still continuing with that tradition. And no matter how you look at it, there is this bad smell, and it could be untrue, that there is this bad smell of corruption amongst the judiciary or within the judiciary. It could be untrue. We've had arrest of justices of the Supreme Court, and we've had newspaper stories, we've had them being dragged to court. Okay, so we have to find a way to clean
to clean the judiciary and to ensure that that the stink does not continue even for administrations. I don't want to say generations, administrations to come.
And that would be fantastic.
Thank you very much, Asuko Mendy Ashimok, for taking out time to talk to us. You are a presidential candidate. That means in the next few days, you also would be hoping to become the president of this country.
Look, I'll put it this way. There is no better time for us to take a hold of our future. There is no better time for us to expect that we move this country in a different direction and begin to enjoy the benefits of democracy. And I sincerely pray we do such more.
Of course, a lot of people will be going to the polls on Saturday to decide that. Anyway, still on the matter, me Lord, right here on Rootstv Nigeria on the 15th. That is in the next few days. The CCT will be convening again to hear the matter on embattled CJN Walter Onnoghen. Will he be there? Will he be brought in court? Will he march in there majestically? And of course, answer, be on the dots, because that's what a lot of cameras like ours will be waiting to see if that happens. And then what is his future? And probably the future of Tanko as we go forward. Who will be the CJN anyways? Not acting, the substantive CJN. This story will continue even after the elections, we predict. You have been watching me, Lord, right here on Rootstv Nigeria. My name is Gloria Oji Emodi.